Bam. Welcome back to Walking
Boom.
Without Feet.
Woo! Thanks for
Round
having me
two.
back again. Yes, round
Yep.
two. Thanks for having me back.
I thought of the pottery teacher story when you asked to come back again. I was like, there's a pottery teacher and he had two classes. One class he had the whole semester focus on creating one perfect pot. And then the other semester he said just create as many pots as you can. And
Mm,
then, of course, the end result, you get more pots and they're better than if you just do one for the
mm,
whole time.
right.
So
Mm, mm.
just create, just knock
Yep.
them out, practice.
Yep.
This is my third one now.
Oh,
And
cool.
had
Cool.
one in between. And yeah, it gets easier. You can put less
Yeah.
pressure on yourself the more you
Right.
do.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The pressure is like too much sometimes. It really stifles your creativity if you have too much of it.
Yeah. So,
What kind of pot did you make? Oh,
podcast.
oh, pot. I thought you said pot. Oh my gosh.
But
Piece
the
of
pottery,
I'm literally
the pottery, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, I get you now. Yes. Even still,
Yes.
that philosophy still rings true. You have to,
Anything creative, yeah.
yeah.
From jujitsu to pots to pods.
Right,
Either
right,
one.
right. Well, good. I'm glad you got your footing. Yeah, I'm really happy to be a part of this. So thank you for
Yeah,
asking me. It's a great
it's
opportunity.
fun. Easy to talk to you. We're on the
Mm,
same wavelength,
same.
so
Yes, yes, I agree. Yeah, I was thinking last night because my connection with Merlin, there's these things with that connection with dragons too. Um,
mm,
I know you're kind of asking here to ask me questions, but I kind of want to ask you about your connection with dragons real quick, or whenever you
sure.
feel you
Yeah,
could talk
it's
about
just a conversation. There's no
it. Okay.
rules.
Okay, cool. Yeah, tell me about it. I wanna know about your connection with dragons.
Oh, I guess the first time it came through was during the second or the third time I sat with Aya. It just took over me. I never really had I mean, when I was a kid, I was fascinated with dinosaurs and reptiles, and that was like a huge part of my childhood. And my root chakra and the animal totem is a dragonfly, which
Mhm.
is as close you can get to a dragon in that totem
Right.
stack. And it's
Wow.
all about illusion, guiding the illusion, exposing the illusion, like just
Mm.
letting other people, like in the story, the dragonfly allows the swan to go into this portal, and he's like, the only rule is you have to let go of all of your attachments to what you think is going to
Mm.
important to you, and pretty much let go of your ego
Mhm.
essentially. And then if you go through that portal, then you'll see, and then the ugly duckling turns into the swan, and the dragon's like, where did this come from? Kind of thing.
Wow.
So dragon is all about illusion and the magical qualities and that kind of thing. And
Wow.
so during my Aya ceremony, this golden dragon just took over me. And I started breathing like a dragon for
Oh.
hours, just,
Wow. Oh my
and it
God.
just shook my whole like
Wow.
being. And I
Yeah. Yeah.
went on this journey of, I had this castle. So I had this like beautiful safe space. I could fly anywhere. I was going on all these adventures, collecting treasures, and just going through this crazy journey. And it just really let my younger self feel safe because I didn't feel safe a lot of my younger years. It was just a lot of that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
having Dragon was like just the ultimate protector. Like you don't have to worry about anything at all, really. I mean, you got a
Yeah.
dragon in your corner.
Yeah.
You
You
can
have a
call on
dragon.
it.
You're all good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, who's gonna fuck with you?
Right.
So it felt like kind of, yeah, just having this like guardian in your corner that you can call upon and feel that energy and feel that I can go into that dragon's breath and feel it. And just anytime I want to
Hmm.
overcome this illusion of ego, the smaller self, I can just tap into that. And that feels like
Wow.
a safe portal into that space.
Wow. Wow.
That's kind of where I'm coming from, I guess.
Yeah, I'm really like I'm fascinated by everything, but is specifically that the portal that the dragonfly like presents. Like it makes sense to me that dragons have that ability to create a portal to anywhere. And I think that's like a very powerful thing to embody because, like you said, now you're able to like tap into these spaces in your own consciousness. And I feel like the dragons, like your dragon specifically, helped you to like embody that. You know, that's such a powerful thing to do. And not a lot of, I know a couple of people who like work with portals, but it's not a very common thing that people
Mm-hmm.
do. So like that's a really like special gift you have.
Thanks. Yeah, it's definitely it feels rare. And dragon is such a combination of the higher and the lower, like a snake with wings, basically, is what it is. So it's like the ultimate snake is the lowest, and then flying
Oh,
eagle is the
right.
highest. So it's like
Right.
I definitely feel that I can go into the masculine and I can go into the feminine pretty easy.
Yeah.
Feel very balanced in that way.
Yep. Yep. That's a good way to describe it. It's like being able to bring conscious into the unconscious too.
And
Like,
that's walking without feet. That's the
yeah.
whole
Oh,
that's the
well, there
whole
you
thing.
go.
Yeah.
Podcast over. We're done.
It never
Never
ends.
ends. Yeah, yeah, it never ends. Um, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's kind of what Merlin is wanting to like speak through me about is masculine and feminine balance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
That's
interesting you bring up the dragons too, because again, that is also part of Merlin's story. When Merlin was a child, he was a part, well, he wasn't part of this prophecy, but there was this kingdom who practiced dark magic. And there was like these rumblings that happened under this tower, and they didn't know why, they didn't know what was going on. And the dark magicians thought that they needed to do like a blood sacrifice of a child who was fatherless. And so they found Merlin, who wasn't Merlin at the time. I can't quite remember what his name was as a child, but Merlin was fatherless. Um, and Merlin, instead of being sacrificed, he told them what was going on. And he said that there's two dragons under this tower and they're fighting. And that's why you can only build it up to a certain point because it gets too heavy on the dragons and it crumbles. And yeah, it was two dragons fighting, and they were locked in like a chest of some, or like locked in somewhere. And it was that, to me, what I feel the significance of the story is that masculine and feminine fighting, like there was no balance, and they were like trapped, you know. And Merlin like released the dragons essentially, and they fought obviously because they were agitated. You know, you're being locked in this place for so long, like you're going to be agitated. And they ended up like killing each other. But I feel like um that was a really good starting point for Merlin as far as what he prophesied in the future, and the journey that he went on was we have to stop like murdering ourselves or self-sabotaging ourselves and bring back balance. And obviously we're still in that. But yeah, that's the masculine and feminine is what he kind of wants to channel through today.
mm-hmm.
Um, So I guess I mean it might be a good. Let me go back a little bit. I think it might be good to start off my connection with Merlin and kind of go from there.
Yeah, break it down.
Yeah. So I have always had like a fascination of like wizards and magic, like love Lord of the Rings, I love Harry Potter, I love anything that has to do with like mysticism and all that. And um I did a psilocybin ceremony 2 years ago, and it was in that ceremony that Merlin came to me, and it was like this grand reunion. It was like best friends seeing each other after not seeing each other for a really long time. And he came to me in like a glowing ball of light, and like from the light he emerged. It was like that scene in Lord of the Rings and the Two Towers where Gandalf the White appears. It was kind of like that.
Hmm.
And he basically was telling me like, yes, your soul lineage is that of wizards. And he was just kind of explaining what that meant and explaining the star system that I'm from, and telling me that he I'm actually like a part of Merlin is what he told me. And there's like this ideology or like process where spirits or souls or ascended masters can kind of split their consciousness up. And he's telling me like, yes, you are a part of my consciousness, like you are a part of me, that's where you're from. And so this was super exciting. I was like, oh my gosh, this explains why I'm so like into wizards and like dragons. And it was such an affirming experience. And alongside Merlin was also Yeshua. And they both came together. But I'll circle back to that later because that's an important piece too. Um, so that's where I first met Merlin. And he since then there's been this incredible urge and intrigue about masculine and feminine energy. And so what I've been taught and what I'm hearing from Merlin, to kind of break it down for people who may be unfamiliar with like what masculine and feminine energy is it's yin and yang essentially. So it's the balance in the universe, masculine and the feminine. The feminine is everything. Everything that was, is, or will be is the feminine. And the masculine is simply the awareness of those things. And the society and the culture that we live in now has a huge emphasis on kind of, I don't want to say toxic masculine. I don't like saying that, but a less aligned version of divine masculine. I'll say that. We kind of have this like, not kind of, we do. We have like this patriarchal systems that are kind of domineering and controlling, and people are like put into these boxes, and we don't have the awareness of what's outside the box. The feminine is limited and our masculine is kind of put in these boxes. And there's a lot of untapped energy and a lot of untapped power. And that's what Merlin is really saying is, yeah, you guys are just so disconnected from your power because of this imbalance. And it's being perpetuated because a lot of people just don't know how to get out of these boxes. They don't know how to see their feminine. They don't know how to honor their feminine. And they're afraid of the feminine. Because again, the feminine is everything. And that's kind of scary. Like, and a lot of people are afraid of their own power too. Like that's a huge part of it. Um, and let's see where he's going with this. So yes, so we've lost touch with our power. And in Merlin's time, he worked for a aristocrat, or he was like in that aristocratic environment where he was a druid for a king. And he lived in that kind of like what we would experience now as like that patriarchal environment. And there was a battle that went on, and in that battle Merlin ended up escaping. So the box that he was in, where he was kind of just like this normal wizard druid, he escaped from the battle and he went into the woods, and that's where he like became Merlin. He became like this wild man. Like he literally went into the unknown, into this forest for years, and pretty much understood consciousness. And that's where all these prophecies arose with him, all this prophetic energy. um and that is symbolic of going into his feminine, going into his unknown, and tapping into that power, because he was so limited in that kingdom and under that ruling that it was like he was almost like forced. His soul knew that that's probably what was going to happen, but he was guided, I'll say, guided into the woods, um, to find his power. And the way that's reflected now in society is people are kind of attached to these kind of patriarchal systems, like instant gratification culture. Like that's a huge block for a lot of people, because we want to get that quick fix, and going inward and into our own depth it's not a short process. It's a long
Mm.
process, and there's a lot of work and a lot of things to be discovered, and it takes time to really understand yourself. But people are unwilling or don't know how to do that. You know,
It's scary.
it is so
Whenever
scary.
you start off, there's a lot of demons you gotta slay.
Exactly.
And
Or
it's just,
befriend too, you know, or
yeah,
befriend.
well, yeah, ultimately that is,
Uh-huh.
you love them, but yeah,
Right.
there's a lot, they're staring at you and you're afraid to go in there.
Right. And people can feel them staring at them, but they don't know what it is. They don't have the language to like say, like, I feel uncomfortable in my body and I don't know why. Well, you probably got a lot of limiting beliefs. You probably have a lot of like people's energies that you've taken on. Those are the things you got to slay, you know, like,
That was our last talk, was the generational trauma that comes through. It's just like
yeah,
it gets
yeah.
so heavy. You're like, why do I have to be the one to do all this?
Right. Right. But ultimately, it creates this like really rich mulch for you
Oh
to,
yeah, it's what you need. It's the only way.
right. It is medicine. Like,
Hmm.
and that's a huge thing Merlin teaches too, is like there's excitement in the unknown as well. There's this excitement that you can have to go on this wizardly adventure within yourself to confront these demons, to release and slay these energies that are not your own. And it doesn't have to be scary, although it's understandable that it is. Like, it was scary for me. Like, it honestly, there were times where I do get scared of myself. I do get scared of the things that I'm afraid to connect with. And Merlin has told me, it's like, well, you're afraid of your own power. That's really what it is.
Yeah, it comes out of you. It's your
Yeah,
own.
right. Yeah, it's your own stuff. So why are you afraid to go in there? I'm like, oh, I see. Okay. And it makes it a little bit more, I don't know, there's a little bit more grace that I give myself to go to those dark places. Um, and so I feel like shifting a little bit. So going back to Yeshua, why Yeshua was there um, in my Merlin introduction or reunion. Um, I didn't really ask questions during the ceremony. It was just like, oh yeah, of course, Jesus is here. Like, I love Jesus. Like, I feel very drawn to him as well. So of course they'd come together like these two father figures. Kind of felt like my two gay dads. Like, honestly, is what it felt like. And it wasn't until later, integrating my experience, that as I started to ask questions, I'm like, why specifically did you guys like come together? And it's funny because in my mind, I saw them like laughing with each other. And Yeshua told me that he was Merlin, and Merlin told me that he was Yeshua, like Yeshua reincarnated as Merlin. And then Merlin was originally Yeshua to begin with. I was like, oh, interesting. And they're basically telling me, yeah, our mission is to integrate and bring in Christ consciousness to the planet. Like, that's how we're up leveling the frequency of the planet, is by bringing in this energy. And Yeshua was telling me that when he incarnated here in his time, that he was bringing in the feminine. He was like, I am everything, you are everything, we are all everything. And that really shook people. Like, people couldn't stand that reflection. They couldn't accept it. They didn't understand it. And
Yeah,
that's
their whole livelihood is based off of that lie. Like, hard to be
right.
a priest when then guys like, yeah, you don't really need the church. It's
Yeah,
hard to be like,
exactly.
promote that guy. It's
Yeah,
fine.
right.
Let's just kill
Right.
him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were literally so scared of their own
Yeah,
reflection that they
yeah,
killed
it's hard.
Jesus. Yeah, but so Jesus, ultimately like accepted this. He's like, fine, if you guys aren't going to accept that you can be your own healers, let me at least do what I can to like heal you while I'm here. Um, but going back to like bringing the power back to yourself, as far as what Yeshua was teaching to the people, you know, Jesus was basically like this permission slip for people. He's just big permission slip to heal. Like, there's a story in the Bible about this guy who had leprosy, and I think I might be getting this wrong, or not correct in some parts, but Yeshua like told this guy with leprosy to do these certain things and he would be healed. And he did those things and he was healed, but he couldn't have healed had he not believed he could heal himself. So it was more of like, yeah, you couldn't have done this if you didn't think it could happen. And that's where the power is. That's where your power lies. You have to believe that you can do it in order to heal yourself. Again, we all know how that story ends with Jesus and he was killed. And so when he reincarnated as Merlin, he knew that he had to bring masculine and feminine balance because he was really in his feminine and people couldn't stand that reflection. So he knew he had to like bring up both the masculine and the feminine. And that's where that wizardry comes in. He had to be in his masculine to be able to narrow his focus in order to meet the needs of the people and know the needs of the people and know how willing they were to accept the reflection of themselves through Merlin. And he went into the wilderness, into that wildness. And that, I mean, that's like symbolic of the feminine. Like I said before, like he went to the unknown. He was first in his masculine and then he went into his feminine. And that's where you find that balance. And still, like Merlin had to be pretty sneaky about how he was like bringing in that Christ consciousness. And what I hear is that's why he raised Arthur, was to raise his child by himself, alone, separate from the world, to make sure that this child grew up with the ideologies of Christ consciousness, as well as the other kind of teachings that Merlin had. So that hopefully, because he knew that Arthur was going to be king, that Arthur would rule under this Christ conscious state of mind, and that it would ripple from there. And it was a great attempt. And I think, I think he did a lot more than Yeshua could have, having that sort of way of integrating Christ consciousness into the planet. And so that was really profound for me to hear. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so it's interesting because I think I was like driving at the time and they're telling me all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, can we wait till I like get back home? Because this is a lot of information y'all are telling me right now. So yeah, ultimately the mission is to activate Christ consciousness in people. And right now at this time, there's like a process. So it's like right now we're maintaining that balance of masculine and feminine so they both can hold that energy. Yeah.
And it's kind of, I'd say it's impossible for the mind to comprehend. That's why you have to go in your heart, because you have to go beyond the mind, because your mind, it's such a paradox. It doesn't
Right.
compute, and your mind's just like this basic little computer that's not designed to hold these paradoxes.
Right. Yeah, it's way too intense.
Just yeah, it's just too much info. But your
Right.
heart holds it,
Right.
which is why I think the cross is the symbol of the spiritual and the material,
I didn't know that. Wow. 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 Wow.
and
Spiritual material.
it meets right in your center, in your heart. Your heart's your
Ah,
spiritual center.
right. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, from my experience, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, it's like energy doesn't really have like it can't speak to the mind in the way that it can communicate with the heart. Like it's the energy is just like way too complex that the mind can't really comprehend, but the heart perfect that does perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like the basis of Christ consciousness is don't think about it, feel about it. We have to
Bring
embody
it
it.
way deeper.
Right, right. Like
Mm-hmm.
I telling on myself here a little bit. I just recently found out about this term of oh shoot, can I remember it right now? Yeah, intellectualizing my feelings, where I think more about my feelings than I actually feel about my feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and it's that same ideology. It's like why you by thinking about your feelings and intellectualizing them and knowing where they come from and their sources, that's great, but you also have to feel it. And when you feel it, that's when you're able to fully process. It's the same idea with Christ consciousness. It's
Mm-hmm.
good to know what it holds and what it embodies, but you're not going to fully process it by just in your mind. You have to go to your heart as
Yep.
well.
Another way to think about it is the internal and the external, finding that balance. I always think of Buddha as the masculine, the aloneness. Meditation is completely alone. There's no one to hold on to. It's the void. True meditation, you're just on your own. It's just
Mm-hmm.
complete aloneness. And then
Mm-hmm.
the feminine, the Christ conscious, Jesus Christ, that's the love. That's the you are everyone. That's uh yeah, the other side of it, the internal and the external. So
Mm-hmm.
you can go within and find that aloneness, and you but if you are only within, if you're only a Buddha, you miss the whole outside world.
Yeah.
But if you're only on the outside, it's so shallow and on the periphery,
Mm-hmm.
you miss the whole inside. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why you got to do both. And that's why your mind is like,
Mm-hmm.
what? It
Right.
doesn't
Right.
compute. But
Right.
it, but that is why you have to go with your heart, though. It's
Exactly. Exactly. And that's, I mean, that's exactly what Merlin did too. He lived in society and worked with these kings and queens, and then he went alone and he found that balance. And it's interesting, he first started with people and then he went alone. And Arthur did the exact opposite. He raised Arthur alone, and then Arthur was integrated into society. So he went internal and external. I always think that's fascinating. Um,
'cause they are interchangeable. People sometimes get hung up on that.
yeah, right,
Like you can just call it like if you see a white dot on a black board, it's the same as seeing a black dot on a whiteboard. Like
right.
there's no
Yeah,
just
yeah,
talking the same thing but different words.
exactly. Right. Yeah. Don't get hung up on how it you experience it.
But again, that's the mind is like it just can't
Yeah.
compute.
Right.
It just
Right. Yeah, the mind is like trying to get checklists and like, oh my gosh, are we doing it correctly? Is this the right process we're supposed to be doing? It's like
mhm.
there is no agenda. There's no agenda to this.
And your heart knows what's right
Right.
somehow.
Yeah. This is such a cheesy thing to say, but I'm gonna say it. The longest distance you'll ever travel is from your head to your heart.
Hmm.
The longest distance. Just pull it back to your heart. You just keep pulling it back. It's hard. It's a difficult thing to do. And again, what Merlin is saying is like the way that society and our culture is set up now is, very much in our heads. We're also not only just in our heads, but we also have this consuming culture, and it distracts us and kind of primes our bodies and primes our energy to towards attachment and addiction. And once you're attached and addicted to something, I mean that takes you out of your heart space, and then trying to let that go, it makes it difficult, really difficult to come back to your spirit and your soul, because your heart knows. And just the way that culture is now, it's just very disconnected from the heart.
Hmm.
Um, and so there's actually a lot of beings on the planet right now that are um, they're kind of like co-facilitating, all working together to, well, one, raise the vibration of the planet, but also hitting the same ideology of like, y'all need to find balance. Like, I know a lot of different beings have very specific and different teachings, but I feel right now they're all kind of like balance, 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 balance. Y'all need to find the balance. And then from there, it's kind of like first grade. It's like once you can find balance, we can go to second grade. And then there's third grade and fourth grade. That's kind of a crude and limiting way to describe the complexities of their teachings. But in the way that I'm just hearing it right now, it's like, yes, you guys, it's got to be a step by step process. You'll have to
Yeah.
work together in order to like raise it together. You know,
Yep.
um, let's see. I had some notes here too. Oh yeah, another thing too was another example of Christ consciousness and the way that we can kind of think about it in a way that's not so intense, because Christ consciousness is it's intense love, and the way that has really helped me to embody more of that is to think about how Merlin did it to Arthur. I mean, he literally raised Arthur to hold this frequency. And if we can think about the energies within our bodies as our children, you know, and we're raising those children, I think that's a great way to kind of visualize and help grow with yourself, because you wouldn't want to yell at your kids. You wouldn't want to completely just shun your kids or put such a domineering force over them where they feel like they have to hide. We literally have to start literally raising it up, but also like raising it like a child, um, if we really want to embody the practices of Yeshua and Merlin and just Christ consciousness in general. No more shunning. No more running away from your hard feelings. It's
Yeah.
difficult and hard, but it's not impossible.
Yeah. It almost seems like you do need to get a taste of that Christ consciousness. Until you get a taste, you don't
Right.
really know.
Hmm.
But once you get a taste, then it's just like, of course you go that way.
Yeah.
It's
That's why
just,
I suggest plant medicine for people who like really struggle with that.
yeah, in the West, especially, it's a great ticket to, that's what I got a taste from it.
Yeah. Same here. Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. My first, I did like, they're called heart opening ceremonies. And don't quite, it was kind of a blend of different medicines, different plant medicines. And I mean, I just had I've never felt so at peace with myself. Like I felt like I could totally be myself. Like all of my fear and all of my judgments and all my egos just like went to the wayside. And it left room for that Christ consciousness to kind of come into my heart. And it was just like intense bliss. And that was my first experience of like, oh my gosh, this is possible for me. And it's possible for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need the plant medicine to connect with that. It's always been there. It's always there. It's just a matter of like the medicine just moved things out of the way for me so that I could see it and that I could feel it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, not saying everybody's experience will be like that, but um, it's just a good example of like, yeah, it's in you. You just have to move shit out of the way to see it.
Mm-hmm. And you can do it through meditation. It just
Mhm.
takes, I think of it like a fan. If you have a fan running in your room and you turn off the switch, like that fan's gonna still run for a
Uh,
while. And every time you meditate, it's like it slows down a little, but then you can get caught up in the bullshit of the world and it'll start
mm,
spinning again.
oh, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
So you gotta turn it off and then just let that stillness like get to the point where it allows you to see that. But you
Hmm.
can also just eat 5 grams of mushrooms or drink Aya or there's a
Yeah.
lot of different ways to get there.
Yes. Well, there's a reason why there's so much plant medicine. Like it's a very popular thing to do right now. And what I've heard from some of my friends is like the plants are kind of sacrificing themselves for us right now. So plants have spirits, and the spirit of these plants are like, okay, these people need to wake up. So we need to like get these people to wake up. And so if you feel pulled to a certain medicine, it often means that that spirit of that medicine is calling to you. And so I always encourage people to try it. You know, I know some people have like medical needs, and like it's important to know what medicine you're taking and being very careful with what you're putting in your body. But I will also say that it can be incredibly transformational. And I've seen a lot of people transform their lives, including myself, because of plant medicine.
100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Merlin, he definitely ate shrooms. Like he found some shrooms in the forest, and he definitely tripped, and that probably catalyzed a lot of his prophetic identity and personality and just energy in general was activated through some sort of plant medicine.
How would you describe mushrooms versus ayahuasca? What do you think the difference is energetically?
Mm, man, I I had pretty similar experiences with both, and they were both very difficult. Um, I would say ayahuasca uh is unapologetic in the way that it shows you how you're hurting yourself, and at the same time very nurturing too. It's kind of like that tough love medicine. While mushrooms are a little bit more playful, you can have a little bit more of a playful experience. Um, and everything with intention. I think your intention can really direct the experience that you have with medicine. Um, but yeah, I would say mushrooms is a little bit more playful, although the mushrooms can like show you where you're hurting yourself as well.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like mushrooms also kind of is more of that external perspective as well. Like it shows you things that are happening around you, while ayahuasca really shows what's going on internally. So
Hmm.
it's like your internal reflections is ayahuasca, psilocybin is the external reflections around you. That makes sense.
Hmm.
Hmm. Have
Yeah,
you have you tried both too?
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Which one was your like hardest teacher?
Well, I've been pretty gentle with me. I mean, I guess I've had some struggling mushroom trips, but it's been my own resistance that made it challenging. It wasn't anything that the mushrooms did.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, that first 5 grams glow in the dark was a doozy, but in the best
In
way.
the dark, you did it in the dark. Oh my gosh, you brave
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah. I was ready to jump off a bridge. So, like, I
Oh,
don't give a fuck.
oh my gosh, that is so scary. Wow. Wow, that was your Merlin trip.
Oh, yeah. That was my drag. That was my portal. That's when I left my body. I
Wow.
came back. I disappeared.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
yeah. And I understood
Wow.
how, like, the gurus can read in people's minds because they're so empty. I could only see myself through other people. So,
Oh, yeah.
if somebody would have come up and, like, talked to me, I would have just seen exactly what's going on. I could just read them.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's been my, I feel like someday I'll get to that emptiness, like without integrating it to the point where I can just read people, like read people's thoughts and read what's going on just by,
Mm,
but you have to be that empty to get
right.
there.
Right. Right. Which is extraordinarily difficult. And so would you say like that emptiness is similar? Could you like compare it to um like just kind of being a vessel for whatever comes through, like having no
Yeah.
ego or
That's
having little
the,
ego?
yeah, be the
Yeah.
hollow bamboo, walk without feet, fly without wings, think without
Mhm.
mind.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all, yeah, that's been my quest. It's
Yeah.
before I get there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Same here. It's for me, it's a lot of bringing it back. That's the biggest part is I get so caught up in my own shit sometimes and I let it go for so long and I wake up and I'm like, oh shit, I've been like so walking with feet. I've been walking with feet for so long. And so I have to rein it back. And it's like I have to train myself to like rein it back to your heart. You have to keep coming back. And
hmm.
yeah, it's just one of the things again that Merlin keeps like showing me too is like the world is so full of distractions. Again, this like consumer culture, you know, and it's so easy like, to get caught up in all of this like drama and all of this these distractions, that you have to keep coming back. You have to keep coming back. What can you let go of that will get you less attached to that kind of conditioning?
Hmm.
It's a hard thing to do.
Yep.
Not easy.
Yeah, I feel like that's why my kid came here to show me. She's
Mm,
so not attached to anything. It's just like she doesn't care, but she's still in awe of like the trees and the nature and stuff. It's just like she knows what's important. So
yeah.
kids are great teachers that way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is such like a beautiful gift to have from your child is that constant reminder of non-attachment and to that play like I'm sure you probably had some wonderful moments of playfulness with her too, which is so healing. That it's hard to get with adults nowadays is to like, and I'm at fault for this too, is like taking my healing too seriously, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
you know.
Getting caught in the I'm being healed
Right.
avatar.
Right,
It's like
right.
I was stuck there for a while, and then it
Uh,
gets to the point where you're just like, I don't want to be the I'm healing guy.
Right, right. Yeah, like I miss my I used to be so goofy and silly, and I've lost that in my healing journey because I'm like healing is very serious. We need to take this seriously. We need to confront our traumas with seriousness and integrity, and you kind of miss the point when you're in
Oh
that
yeah.
energy. And there is a place for that, but it certainly would be false to say that's all of what healing is.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a child around you, I'm sure just invites your inner child to come out and play as well, which I'm sure is so healing,
Mm-hmm.
be very healing.
Yeah, anytime I see a guru that's serious, I'm just like, you're not even awake. You're just
Yeah. You're missing the
you're
point.
you're playing this character real well, but
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
you're
Yes.
not I'm not following you.
Yeah. 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 And some people need to go through that in order to get to the other side too.
Yeah, it's the balance. It's
Yeah.
there's a time and a place for everything, but
Right,
yeah.
right. We've gone through that already, so it's like so not attractive for us anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to be the I'm healing guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, something about Merlin too that I've learned is because he can come across as this very super fatherly, like all loving, heart opening, compassionate man. And at the other end of it too, completely feral and unhinged and wild. And I've loved that part of getting to know him because at first it was the other side of the loving father figure, and now I'm starting to delve into his expression of wildness and how that further connects us to the divine and connects us to our truths. It's that undomesticated part of ourselves where a lot of our untapped potential is. Um, I
Hmm.
did a I did psilocybin again. This was probably a year later, and it was less welcoming. It was less fun for me. And my intention for this experience was to confront the parts of myself that were domesticated. And oh man, did I see it! And I asked Merlin to be there, but Merlin was like, "No, no, this is you got to go in your own, go into your own forest and confront yourself." And I'm like, "Oh fuck, okay." Um, and really, what I saw like this patriarchal energy, this like shadow patriarchal energy that was influencing my masculine and my feminine, and how it domesticated both of my energies. And it was extraordinary. I'll say it was excruciating to like see this because I
Hmm.
considered myself to be very feminine, to be very open, to be very in the flow, and then to see that actually I was being fooled because I've accepted this patriarchal energy in my energy, and I've allowed it to influence my divineness. And so it was excruciating, but I did manage to like release some of that. It was kind of like the way I can describe it was like, I don't know if you've seen Harry Potter where he destroys the Horcruxes. It was
Hmm.
like that. It's like I was able to like kill one part of the Horcrux. Um, but yeah, it's that wildness, that undomesticated part of ourselves where we can connect back to our truth. And that's scary for people too, right? That
Yeah.
wildness. Like, what am I going to look like if I'm unhinged? If I just act on my wildness, their fear of like, how am I going to be perceived by other people, you know?
Yeah. I miss I mean, I was like a traveling vagabond for years,
Mm.
and having a kid made me do the opposite, have to be like responsible, domestic, fatherly.
Yeah.
And it was a grieving process of I just want to be out traveling
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
being in the same spot, but I mean it'll come back. That's
Yeah.
all
It'll
I
definitely
mean.
come back.
But yeah, I mean, it is scary. But once you do throw yourself into that unknown, it's the best. It's like the most free you can be. It's just
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the lessons you learn, the person you become, all the things are just like,
It's
ah,
worth it.
yeah, you feel
Like,
so alive and so present.
right. You just have to, at least from my, I can only speak from my experience, but getting comfortable with that initial uncomfortableness is so worth it.
Yeah.
Because
You
after
might
that,
cry a couple tears
yeah,
of
right.
letting go of
Right.
your
Yep.
comfortableness.
Exactly. There is a grieving process that goes on.
Yeah,
Um,
both
but
ways.
ultimately it's worth it. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm still playing with that kind of I call it devious energy. That's what I'm calling it right now because um when I was a child I was very devious, mischievous. I mean, I used to make up these stories and like scare the kids, and I would act like a gremlin like with the neighborhood kids, and I was completely wild and free, and we would just go like play in junkyards and things like that. And it's that sort of like innocence and carefree attitude that I had as a child that I'm trying to like integrate and rediscover now as an adult. Um, and yeah, I'm just now in the process of doing that. Not to say that I don't do that occasionally, but I want to do it more intentionally. What way can I be more devious with
Hmm.
my friends?
Yeah. I was just thinking like there's to be able to fit into society and be a success, like there's only you can be like a comedian or an artist or there's like a couple paths where you can be that deviant energy and actually make a living. But for
Right.
the most part, like if you want to be the CEO of a business, like you are not deviant, you are not wild, you are serious and
Domesticated. Mhm.
domesticated to the
Uh-huh.
T.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, so it's again, it's all about finding that balance too. Um, Thankfully, I'm an artist, so I can get away with it. I dream about the days where I'm an older man in his 70s, lives in the woods. That's my goal. And people come to me for artwork, and I'm just like this super eccentric wizard. Like, I mean, it is my goal to be like Merlin when I'm older, and where I can I could probably embody more of that because I have found that abundance to support me. I don't have the worries perhaps. And maybe that's still not quite the right way to manifest that. But um yeah, I feel like in society now there's a lot of like chasing and grabbing for abundance, right? We we don't feel comfortable enough to like let our hair down fully to be in that playful energy because we're constantly worried about surviving.
Hmm.
And so I think, yeah, you're right in saying that yeah, I don't there's not that like comfortability to or that safety to be mischievous and devious because we're worried about survival. Like I ain't got time to play pranks on people right now. I gotta like worry about myself. Um, but that is a limiting belief, right? So I can be mischievous and playful and still try to figure out how I'm receiving abundance. Like there
Hmm.
is no limitation in the way that I can express myself. The only thing that's holding me back is myself. At the end of the day, I can point fingers all day. Really, I'm like pointing at myself. It's like, no, it's really you. Like you're the one who thinks that. You're the
Hmm.
one holding yourself back from that.
And real abundance comes from not needing things. It doesn't come from having things. It comes from the less you need, the more abundant you are.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're poor, then enjoy being poor. If you're rich, enjoy being rich. But it's just like, yeah, it's really not needing stuff, which is
Yeah.
again the paradox.
Right. 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 Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Um, yeah, being abundance rather than like receiving it. Be abundance.
Hmm.
Understand that you are abundance. You will see that reflected around you. I think that's like the biggest lesson too Merlin talks about as well as like once you start to embody your power and your gift and your love, the way the universe works, you're going to see that reflected around you. It's just that's just the way things are. you cannot attract what you are not the vibration of. Like, and
Hmm.
that's not to say like you need to change yourself in order to get things, right? You need to change yourself for yourself so that you can experience more of yourself being reflected to you. That's that's huge.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's like I get caught in the money trap. Like if I just had more money, then it'd be
Yeah. Yeah.
easier or whatever.
Yeah. It's
But
the
you
easy
can also
trap.
just feel that. Like, what if I made $100,000 a month? What would that feel like? And then you can have that energy in you
Right.
that you don't even need the money. You can just
Right.
have that feeling.
Right.
That.
Exactly. Yeah. Once you feel like $100,000, maybe you'll see it reflected in you in a way that you didn't even expect.
Hmm.
Um, one of one of my teachers is Bashar, which I know you're familiar with Bashar.
Hmm.
Those of you who don't know, there's this guy named Daryl Inca who channels this extraterrestrial being. And one of the main things he talks about is the formula. Um, I think he just calls it the formula. It's a way of living that puts you in alignment with your highest form of living. And what he says is the formula for this is you act on your highest passion every moment that you can to the best of your ability, and you take it as far as you possibly can with you take it as far as you possibly can until you can't take it any further, with no expectation of how that's supposed to manifest for you. And that's
Hmm.
the real kicker. Like,
Yep.
don't put any expectations on how it's supposed to come to you. It might come in the way that you expected, but if you limit it, you're really limiting what's possible. And what's possible might be more than you could even possibly imagine.
Hmm.
So
That's
the
that's my hang up with the whole manifestation thing. Like manifest your dream life, but you
yeah,
can only manifest from your mind.
right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
until you have those crazy experiences where your mind didn't even know that was a thing, it's like once you taste that, it's just like, all right, I guess I can't really
Yeah.
manifest from my mind because it's beyond what I can comprehend.
Yeah.
I just
Yep.
have to trust life. I have to trust the universe and know that I am the universe. I am the whole,
Hmm.
and that it's showing me exactly what I need.
Yeah.
Doesn't,
It's that simple.
yeah.
You don't need to buy like a book, a manifestation book or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, I took those courses. I paid for those
Uh-huh.
people, and it's just
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
always in the back of my mind was just like, yeah, but have you been experienced in the beyond?
Yeah. Have you taken 5 milligrams of mushrooms and gone to the beyond? Oh
Because
my gosh.
this wouldn't make that much sense if you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's the whole like some people are designed to manifest stuff. As
Right.
projectors, we're not really designed to do that.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. Yep.
So some people it is
Hmm.
their jam. That's what they love. They love to create things, and then but for us, it's just like it seems like not our jam.
Yeah. Once we start to get too specific, it typically doesn't. I think we're non-specific. So projectors are supposed to focus on how do we want to feel, and that's what that's how we're supposed to like manifest.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah. So like that's important too. But I think at the end of the day, it's really plain and simple. Like recognize that you were part of the whole picture. It's that feminine thinking. You are everything. So whatever you see reflected around you clearly is an indicator of how you feel about yourself. So if you're seeing reflections of shame, if you're seeing reflections of unworthiness, clearly there's parts of yourself that you are shameful of, or you have some unworthiness attachments there. And so how can you go into your forest? How can you go inwardly, confront these things to release them, talk with them, feel them is the most important thing. You can feel these energies to allow them to move wherever they need to. Maybe it's not time to release. Maybe they still need to be there, but you can release them if you want over time. And then the more that you start to do the work, right, the more that you start to understand your consciousness and these energies that exist within your body, you're going to start to see that understanding reflected around you more. Like you're expanding the consciousness within your body, within your energy, you're going to see that expansion around you too. and you're leaving more room for more of the energy you want to see within yourself. Just
Hmm.
kind of rounding, circling back to Christ consciousness. You're leaving more room for Christ consciousness to show you that unconditional love for yourself so that you can have it around you.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, the Osho quote, "Be realistic, expect miracles."
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, let's normalize miracles happening all of the time.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's I mean, if you can shift your mindset to that, it's really profound. You're gonna have a profound life
Hmm.
full of miracles. Yeah. Not easy to do in the society we live in now, but it's possible. And I think that's again another thing that Merlin and Yeshua like are channeling through to is like y'all are so distracted by TikTok and all these other things. Like there's miracles in that as well, but like there's this pull to like negativity going on. Like we're so drawn to it and we love violence and there's attachment to it. And I'm not saying everybody, but just what I can see reflected in the world is like there's like this pull towards it, you know? And it's like
Yeah, that's just
really
the external. I feel like the external is more immediate. It's more in your face. Like if somebody punches you in the face, you're gonna feel it right away.
mm,
So it's just easier to get distracted by it.
right, right, right. Yeah, that's a good point.
But
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's not the all.
Right. Not the all. Exactly. It's just what, again, that the masculine is the awareness. So where do you put your awareness at? Are you focused on the violence? Are you focused on the negativity? Well, that's not all that's there. There's so much more over here. Yeah. I'm talking to myself right now too. Like these
Oh,
are
we
all
always are.
these are all great things for me to be reminded of. So I'm
Yep.
so glad you gave me the opportunity to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I'm curious too, has your dragon presented a name? Do you if he has, do you like want to share it? I know that could be kind of a sacred thing.
I haven't got a name yet.
Mm,
Mm-mm.
no
Might
names.
come. Yeah, it might come later.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I also heard like everybody has a dragon. I've heard that's a thing. Um and that dragons, and I know you know this, but not all dragons, the way that they've been portrayed in movies are like these super evil kind of like they are animalistic in a way, but they're also highly intelligent creatures too. And everybody has a dragon, and there's all different kinds of dragon. Dragon consciousness is a thing. And I have not yet discovered mine, but I'm hoping after this conversation, because you have such strong dragon energy, this might be like the gateway into my introduction to my dragon.
It's definitely circling around you. If
Yeah. Uh-huh.
if you're having this talk, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, but I never expected a fucking dragon to come out. Like I don't even know
Yeah.
how it happened.
Uh-huh.
So I
Yeah.
don't have any tips for yeah. Even my animal or not my ceremonies, I really go into it with no intention. I
Hmm.
really like you can choose choicelessness.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I mean, because yeah, on my
Just
5 grams, I never would have had that experience if I thought I was gonna have that experience.
yeah, that's very true. Yeah. I forget about that sometimes. Like sometimes having no intention is actually you're just open to whatever experience you're gonna have.
Hmm.
And whatever comes through and it's meant for you.
Yeah, I remember after a ceremony, there was a guy. He was all like butthurt. He's like, "The moon was right there, and it should have been perfect. And then I should have done this, and I should have had this." And he drank ayahuasca like 30 times, like, and he's just still
Oh. Wow.
holding on to these expectations, and over the I was just like blissed out in my heart, like la di da, I love everyone. And just no intention. The moon was perfect.
Mhm.
Like, and I
Yeah.
wanted to say something, but it was also like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to be that guy. But we
Right.
did have a moment where we were walking back into the house and I was just full Buddha, just sitting in my own light. And I was just like so beaming. And we met eyes and I just made him smile just because I was
Mm,
just full on
mm, mm,
empty.
beautiful.
I cracked him. I could tell like I just broke through his just
Mhm,
not just being me, just being in my own light.
mhm.
And that, yeah, that's the ultimate where I'm trying to get
Wow. Wow.
to
What a
be.
beautiful gift for him. Well, for both of you, but for him,
Yeah.
like, wow.
But yeah, but it's just like the point of he had all these expectations and whatever his intention was and all these things built
Hmm.
up in his head, but when he could have just dropped all that and
Right.
become the Buddha.
Right. Drop into his heart. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's I have not experienced I've experienced that for myself, but not to that degree. Like that's like severe attachment, like holding on to the point where I mean you've done the medicine like 30 times and you're still having like this resistance.
Hmm. He was
Damn.
very, very masculine dude,
Hmm.
which yeah, I've worked with some people, some CEOs and stuff, and they go into ceremony like it's war. And it's just like, of course you're getting your ass kicked.
Uh-huh.
Like, that is not how you do it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why you're fucking fucked up the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, I was blown away when he described the way he went into it. It was like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I don't want to say it's scary, but
oh, it
it's
was
just
terrifying. I would never to approach ayahuasca or mushrooms with that energy.
right. Yeah,
It's
with
just,
swords and daggers and yeah, armor.
yeah.
I mean, to me, I mean that just symbolizes, how much people are afraid of themselves, you know.
What's that masculine like? Get her
Right.
done
Right.
on the periphery,
Right.
and they're
Right.
very successful in life. Like they're fucking
Right.
balling out of control,
Right. Right.
but they also can't sit with themselves, and they're never
Yeah.
alone.
Right. Yeah, that's really scary. But
But
it's
it's
those
almost
people.
that's what it takes to get there.
Hmm.
You want to be
Yeah.
a fighter, you want to be a boss, you want to be that kind of person.
Mhm.
You got to suppress a lot of stuff for a long time.
Right, right. Yeah, and you're placing your bravery in the wrong section. Right?
Well, it's yeah, I mean it's wrong for not being balanced. It's good for an aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like it still has value. Like there's a reason they're fucking the
Right.
boss
Right. Right.
because
Exactly.
people rely on them. I mean,
Hmm.
people you're feeding families, which is
Right. Right.
super awesome privilege.
Mhm.
But it's also like balancing it of
Right. Yeah. It's not all there is. That type of energy. It's like that's not
that's
all
it.
that you
Yeah.
are. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that is one of the many complex areas of your life that you're really good at. But yeah, it's not all there is, but it's those people who really need it. Those people who are in those really big positions
Mm-hmm.
because they have so much influence and a lot of control and power. It's like once you become that, it kind of trickles down in
Oh,
whatever
for sure.
environment you're in. So that's awesome. You work with those people. Yeah, how is that like learning about just where men are? Because I'm sure you work with a lot of men. I'm sure you work with women too, but how has that taught you about yourself working with those kinds of people?
Yeah, it's a great mirror. Um, some of them, they're always making the decisions and they're always in control that they want somebody to tell them what to do. And I am not that guy.
Mm,
I am gonna just point you right back at you
mm,
because yeah, I can tell you to like do push-ups or whatever, but it's
yeah,
like you need to I'm gonna be a mirror for you to look at you. And they
yeah.
don't want that. They want somebody to just tell them,
Mhm.
buy this, do this. because that's what they do.
Yeah. That's such a projector thing too.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah. Hmm.
I yeah. So that was interesting because then it's in my own experience. Like I need to. The only thing that's important is my own intuition. I can work with people and I love reflections from them, but it's really what do I need because I'm unique. And if I listen to somebody else, it's just gonna
Right.
like the fish telling the monkey to swim or the opposite. Like it's just like
Right.
that's not what the monkey needs or the fish needs. It's just like
Yeah. Hmm.
that was big. A lot of them hide behind their money. They hide behind their BMWs and all that stuff, and they don't want to look at themselves, and they
Right.
won't. They can pay me, and they still won't look at themselves because they have, money means nothing to them, really. It's like if you're a multimillionaire,
Right. Right. Yeah, you
you
can
can
throw
throw
it.
thousands of dollars, and it just means nothing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that
That's just crazy.
that ends our relationship because it's just like,
Yeah.
well, I don't
Yeah.
know. We can keep talking and working, but
Right. It's not quite an investment for them. It's just like a,
right? It's like I need you to pay fucking $1 million to me then to actually pay attention,
right.
whatever it takes.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe you start charging them that.
Yeah. It yeah. Someday I probably will.
Hmm.
Once my recognition gets to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
But
I think you could start doing it now.
yeah, I just gotta meet him. Once I meet
Uh-huh.
him and if I'm in my full Buddhahood, they can't
Right.
deny it. They'll just start laughing for no reason.
I know. Well, I mean, you could even say like, in order for you to really take this seriously, like I'm going to charge you this much money so you take it seriously. You know,
Mm-hmm.
be great, great abundance for you to receive that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I feel like you would probably feel a little bit more empowered too, because they're taking it seriously. So it puts you in your power because now they're fully trusting you to
Mm-hmm.
guide them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what else have I learned? A lot of attachments to like religion too, where I'm just like, this has to go. Like, that's great, you're Jewish, but you're got to become Christ yourself. And they're just
Mm.
like, not gonna drop it. And it's just like, all right, well, I think just come back when you're ready.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then you have to, like we talked about the first time, like you have to turn your back on your family, your community.
Right. It's a lot.
It's a lot to ask
Right. Right.
without any knowing of what it actually feels like on the other side.
Hmm. Right. And I feel like too, these people you probably have short connections with, they may have just needed that initial connection to really do the work themselves. You were kind of their permission slip to really do the vast amount of work that maybe they were expecting to do with you, but you activated something in them in the short time you were together. And perhaps they like transformed a lot just from that short interaction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What else has come through? Because they're so masculine, a lot of people I work with, they are afraid of death. It's a big one. I can
Yeah.
just feel it on them. Like it just comes
Yeah.
through.
Uh-huh.
So we do some crazy meditations and one of the like I'll just do my golden circle and like what do you need to work on this week? And one of the craziest ones to come through was imagine you're dead and a vulture is eating your dead body. You want to talk about ego death?
Oh
Just
my gosh. Wow.
completely letting go of the body
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
letting the world eat you.
Yeah. Wow. Dude, you go there.
Oh
You
yeah.
go there
I mean,
with
these dudes are intense, so we have to.
right. Right. Yeah, you're matching that intensity. Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
If you ever want an interesting meditation, I tried it a few
Oh
times.
my gosh. Yeah, I am really intrigued by that. Wow.
Yeah, no attachment.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like just what's coming through is like this is really perfect for you because I'm thinking about you as a projector. Like you are really our gifts is like being able to really see people for who they are, like kind of getting past. Sorry, Rico says hi. Um, really seeing past what they kind of put up, like their fronts. And that's really good for like, I don't want to use like diagnosing them because that just seems very, I don't know, constricting. But I mean, that's kind of what you're doing is you're able to like really facilitate a process for somebody because of your ability to see through them and see
Hmm.
them for who they really are. And so like I just said, like you're matching their intensity so that you can communicate better with them for the goals that you have for them. I think that's fucking awesome. I think that's really badass. Like I
Thank you.
said, with your portal making too, like it's not an energy, it's not like a energetic characteristic that a lot of people can do. It's like matching people so well to their energy.
Hmm. Yeah, that's my favorite thing is doing that kind of work. It's the best.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing with these soul portraits that I make too as well. And I liked what you said about you're not telling people what to do, right? We're not as projectors, that's something we're not supposed to do, or something that just isn't comfortable for us to do. And so with these soul portraits, really my intention is to inspire healing in people. I'm not telling you how to heal. I'm just hoping that it'll inspire you to heal. Um, and um, yeah, I've noticed the same thing of like, wow, I can really see people's energy and affirm what I see to them in a way that maybe they haven't thought of before. And just hearing people's like how resonant they are with the imagery that I come up for them is like so rewarding. It's like
Hmm.
really, yeah, it's really rewarding to see that. Um, so yeah, I'm just picking up that on you, how you kind of like do the same with your clients as well.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is all about seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your portraits are awesome. I
Mm.
love your the last one you did with Jackie. That was
Yes. Yeah.
what was the can you walk us through like what that was like for you? How does it look for
Sure.
you?
Sure. So I actually so what my process is I someone who wants a soul portrait will get together and I'll do a reading for you, and the whole intention is to see what the image could look like, at least the base image. And then I go off into my wizard den and I go and create the portrait over time. So for her, I actually did this reading for her um like a year and a half ago. So it was a long time ago. But when I was sitting with her, the image was so clear, like it came to me like it was so clear, hit me like a ton of bricks. And basically, because she was so open, and that's really important for people, like you need to be open in order for me to invite me in to see you.
Hmm.
Um, because she was so open, I was really to see the core of who she was. And the way that it was reflected to me in my vision was her soul was represented by this pearl ball. And it was being held in this round kind of tower, this beautiful architecture. And then around this ball were like these like 100 floating crabs too. And then I also saw her higher self, which was reflected as this dragon. And it's this water dragon. And it's super long, very snake, didn't have any wings. It just was snake-like, like kind of had a snout and kind of had this like sea green hair, very luscious hair around the spine of its body. And typically, I just stick with my intention of like, what image is going to best reflect someone's soul? That's what I connect with when I'm asking, when I'm connecting with somebody. Please show me what will best reflect with this person's soul. And so I don't get caught up in like what things mean. Like, oh, what do all these crabs mean? Oh, what does this architecture mean? I don't like to ask questions. First, I just get the image out. Then I sit with it, be like, okay, what does all this mean? So I was actually kind of frustrated too because I was like, really, I'm gonna have to like paint all of these crabs, like all of these intricate crabs, like
Take a long time.
oh my gosh. And I was so not looking forward to doing it. And just the way that the lighting was too, like there's this gradient. The only light source was that ball of light. And so there had to be this very smooth gradiency of light. And I was not looking forward to that as well. And on top of that, her higher self was telling me it needs to be in watercolor. She's it's a water dragon. She's water sign, needs to be in water so she can like connect with that energy too. I'm like, for those of you who don't know, watercolor, it's a very delicate and sensitive medium, and you have to be very
Mm-hmm.
patient. And so again, thinking about painting all those crabs and having to wait for it to dry and how sensitive it is, because you could really fuck it up if you're not careful. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a challenge. And I think that's why it took me so long to get it done, because I was very hesitant about it. But I then realized actually it's perfect timing that I got it done this year because it is the year of the dragon. And so I finished it, Year of the Dragon, and yeah, she loved it. I loved it too.
How long did it take you?
Let's see. Well, I had the vision about a year and a half ago, but I didn't actually start creating it. She said, no time limit, just make it when you make it. And so I was like, okay, well, this is going to be really hard. So I'm not going to work on it for a while. And typically, something I tell people as well is like, when I get inspiration for your soul portrait, that's your energy telling me it's time to work on it. So the time period could take a while, but I
Mm-hmm.
typically like to give 2 months, not a year and a half. But this was a special occasion. Um, Hours wise, it probably took me probably like 14 hours to do. And with every soul portrait that I do, there's a lot to learn. Again, this is another reflection. Like, I'm obviously connected to this person for a reason, and the image that I make is specifically for them, but it's also for me as well, to remind me what exists within my heart. And so there's a lot to learn about, again, the dragon coming up for me. Like, I feel like I have this dragon, and so here this dragon is like, hey, I'm here. Like, clearly you're in connection with this dragon frequency. She's also a Cancer as well, and I'm a Cancer as well, so that was another connection. But most specifically, the process of making it was really my lesson of like, can you stay true to the integrity of a new process? Can you be patient? Because typically I'm very fast with my artwork. I can whip something up really quick, but this was really inviting me to slow down, to have more attention to detail, and to really pour a lot of energy into it. Because I really like to work fast. That's typically my style. And now I'm getting to a point in my energy and in my art process where I'm invited to slow down, to focus on the detail more. So I love doing them. They're a gift for me as it is for the person. It's such an honor to be able to like see people for who they are, because oftentimes we live in a world where people are wearing masks. And so to see somebody in their true spiritual truth is such like a divine gift, and to then create something for somebody reflective of their truth is like, I mean, it's just an honor. It's a gift. I fucking love it. I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So um yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool.
Those are awesome. What had got you inspired to do those in the first place?
um So really, I love this idea of art being as a tool for our healing, and something that I've just seen in just our culture is we get so swept up in our daily lives that it's so easy to forget our spiritual or our spirit side, or spirituality or spiritual truths, because we're just caught up in the day. So having a piece of artwork that reminds you of who you are, I think is a great way to hold that frequency more and to be able to embody it more. Um, Also, aside from the spiritual aspect of it, which I guess this is still kind of spiritual, but or has spiritual ties, as an artist, I really don't like doing commissions. As far as the commissions that are like, hey, I want you to paint my family, or hey, I want you to paint my pet, or these very specific kind of, I call them masculine constricting portraits or commissions.
Mm-hmm.
And so now people are coming to me for my vision. Like, you're trusting me with what I see. and you're trusting me with whatever medium I want to use that I feel will best represent your soul. And you're trusting me to reflect your soul in a style that I think fits well with your highest self or highest soul expression. And so it's like super healing for my inner artist and my inner creative for someone to trust me with what I see. Like I get to create what I see. You don't tell me what I get to create. I'll take suggestions. Like if you want something specific in your portrait, maybe like a symbol or another type of imagery. But that was another reason I started doing this, was to bring back the power to my inner artist to paint what he wanted to create.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's way more satisfying to create
Oh yeah.
unique
Oh
pieces.
yes. Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
whole, even just the pop art thing, I never, it's fun, but it's like
Yeah.
somebody else already drew Sonic the Hedgehog. You're gonna draw him again. Yeah, it looks cool, but
Right,
whole pop art
right.
is
I
crazy.
know. And we
Mm-hmm.
also live in a world where there's like people remaking movies and like reinterpreting art, and that's great, but like I don't know, y'all, let's come up with like new stuff. Like
Yeah.
we're staying in the same energy of creation, and it's like people are saying it's creative, and I think there's definitely creativity in it, but like there's so much juicy creativity in what you personally see. I want to see what you like to make, what you
Mm-hmm.
personally like. What's the creative energy in you? Like what does that look like? You know,
Mm-hmm.
don't recreate Van Gogh's Starry Night. Like I want to see what you make.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's,
even the next step, the AI art, is just like
oh,
completely taking everything out of it.
yeah, that's just like uncharted territory that's expanding so fast right now. And
It's crazy.
I'm trying to think how I really feel about it. Because I'm a very optimistic person. I can see how this can have good things in it, but also, you know, something that I just stay true is like the real art will never be like AI. And that's what I just keep coming back to. It's like that will never truly like devalue what artists do. Like yeah, I still am unsure of how I feel about it though. You know, it's just whole chart of new territory. New things are coming out every day, and it's a little overwhelming how fast things are growing in the AI world.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
It,
it's a
it's
lot.
it's wild.
Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it either.
Well, I have been using Chat GBT a lot, and um, I've been using it as kind of like my coach a little bit. Like I've been asking it, like this is one thing my friend Chris actually sent me this, and he's like, you can put in like your astrology chart information, your human design information, and your personality type information into Chat GPT and basically say, hey, you are an award-winning lifestyle coach, and I want you to create, this is just an example. Yeah, I want you to create like a daily routine based off of this information. And then it'll, and I always say, I'm like, I want you to tell me why you did this based off of my information. And it's very interesting to see what it comes up with based off your human design and astro chart. And so using it in ways like that to like play around and see if like this could be a cool self-development tool for you is really cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, we still haven't seen like the dark ways people are using it too. Like there's an aspect of that as well. But again, it's a lot. It's a lot
Mm-hmm.
to like take in because of how brand new and fast growing it is. Um,
Yeah. I kind
yeah.
of I stopped fucking with it. I started asking it some more conspiracy kind of questions that I know aren't, or that I know the actual story isn't real, and then
Mhm.
it just made me think like, who's programming this, and like the
Right,
answers were
right,
just sketchy.
right, right.
It's like I don't really
Uh-huh.
fuck with this thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And
'Cause
that's the other side of it I'm talking about too, is like, yeah, who's programming this? Like who, because someone is definitely controlling what it outputs.
yeah,
It's not just like this random consciousness that is
the
free from
all.
any, what's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not like the all of knowledge. It's like this
right.
program specific knowledge that's like, you got an agenda.
Yeah, right.
Open chat GTP. Like, I
Right.
don't trust your agenda.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's the other aspect of it too. It's important to be aware of yeah, we like to think that it's this really cool thing, and I think there are cool parts of it, but at the end of the day, we have to think about its source and um, what kind of forces are controlling what the output is. It's scary. It can be scary,
Oh
you know.
yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
I haven't trusted any of that stuff. And that's why it's always like come back to your intuition. What does your intuition tell you
Exactly.
versus something
Right.
external?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really important.
Yeah.
Um, um, like changing the topic a little bit, but I kind of want to talk about your art as well and how that's like in what ways are you inspired to create art? Like what inspires you? What's your pull behind the art, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, since I was a kid, I was always just drawing on the edge of the notebook. Like I didn't really want to pay attention or whatever. I just draw. And so
Hmm.
it was always like just in me to like doodle. And I love cartoons. I loved all that kind of playful energy.
Hmm.
So I was always drawing like scenarios and stuff like that. I draw my teachers. That was like how started doing caricatures. Was like in
Oh,
first or second grade. I just draw my teacher, and then I'd show them, or if I didn't like them, I'd draw them and show my friends, and like
oh, cool.
so that eventually that
You
you know
weren't drawing them because you were like mad at them, like I'm gonna draw you like a
oh
little.
sometimes yeah
Oh yeah, sometimes.
sometimes yeah they sucked. They'd get a trash drawing or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
If I
Oh,
liked them, then I'd show them and be like, yeah, you're nice, whatever.
mhm. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was both spectrum for sure.
Yes, right, right.
So that was eventually I became a street artist in Denver and
Yeah,
was doing that, and that was cool to do, to like just yeah give a cartoon to a person and that showed up from another country. It was just like
right.
and get paid for it. It was just like the coolest job
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, right.
And
Probably
yeah,
met a lot of people too.
oh yeah. I mean, that made me really grow outside my comfort zone because you're an artist, you're an entertainer, and you're a bouncer all at the same time. Because downtown Denver, I had a dude just get in my face and want to fight me for no reason.
Oh my God, really?
They're just nuts. I was just
Whoa.
like, all of a sudden I was drawing this little girl, and then I'm like, am I fighting this guy? Like what? Just like so you're aware of like your
Whoa.
surroundings and the street life, and it's
Right.
like, yeah, we'd have to close shop by 11 or 10 o'clock because by like 11 there was like shootings and just
Oh my
like
gosh. Wow.
it
Okay.
was you're in the thick of it like
Wow. Yeah,
it
you think
was
you're going out to just be an artist and draw and paint, but no, there's so much else you got to
yeah, there's
be able
gangs
to.
and street people and
Wow.
all the things. So I
Wow.
mean, but that was the coolest. I love doing that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and then in college, I got into art a lot just because at first I was like, I'm gonna be a business major and I'm gonna take over the business world kind of thing. But then I was like, I hate this.
Yeah.
These people suck and it's not fun and fuck all this. So I
I can't
started,
I can't see you as a business person at all.
dude, yeah, I was just like, what is this?
Mhm.
And so I started doing more art, switched over to art major. And so I was like privileged. I got to do all these art classes and like, draw anatomy and learn all these different, be around the creative people.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
dove into that more. And then I don't know, it seems like the universe definitely has some, I don't know if I'm supposed to be a full time artist kind of thing because the universe throws some huge roadblocks. Like, oh, I made all these original art paintings, and then I found a shop in Iowa City to display them. And then the owner sold them behind my back and told me to kick
Oh, I remember
rocks.
that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that
it's
is
just like,
fucked up.
yeah, that was a shot to the heart. And
Yeah.
so I never had like a final art. I never graduated college either, but I never, part of it was like all these pieces that I was supposed to display my art, like for my final whatever display was just like stolen.
Yeah.
And so it
Damn.
was just like
Yeah.
And I guess, and so I stopped painting for a while after that. Um, but it was always just out of fun and curiosity and self-expression.
Hmm.
And for a while, I didn't have the ability or courage to use my voice as much as I do now. So it was like an easy way to like go in my own little world and make
Right.
whatever I wanted. And I used
Mhm.
it for art therapy too, like breaking up with a girl. Then I'd have like all these feelings. And so I'd paint it out. I'd like paint whatever I needed to get out of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was very helpful and
Hmm.
just moving through emotions and that
Hmm.
kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
used it as a tool for healing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
and yeah, it always comes in waves. Like, and it seems to be like where my life is at. Like, if I'm in a really good place where I'm just completely free, like I got all this time or whatever, I'll just be drawn to making art. But then when I'm at like my low valley and I don't want to make art, I don't want to express myself, I
Yep.
don't want to do
Yep.
anything, I'll just be like,
Yep. Yep.
fuck all that. I'm not even
Yep.
gonna
Hmm.
touch it. And so
Yep.
it
Yep.
totally depends where I'm at in my wave of
Right.
emotions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always been an awesome tool. And yeah, I'm sure I'll get back into it more.
Yeah.
There's still some pieces I want to finish that I have just sitting in the garage
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I'm not touching.
Same. Same.
But
Yeah. I used to guilt trip myself when I felt sad but didn't want to do art. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm an artist. Shouldn't this like be helping me?
mm-hmm.
No, you are a multifaceted human being with so many other modalities that you can use to
Mm-hmm.
express what you need to express, or maybe you don't need to do anything. Maybe you just need to sit and do
Mm-hmm.
nothing, you know?
Yeah, it seems like there is a time to transcend that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like in when I am in my full Buddha and I'm just being, I don't really need to have the urge to create anything. Everything's already perfect. So why
Yeah.
do I need to like add anything to perfection?
Oh, that is a great point. Right. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it's very human and very part of the personality to want to like add
Right.
art to the world and add beauty, and it's a
Right.
great thing.
Right.
But at yeah, at my highest, it's just like
Yeah.
there's trees in the sky and birds. Like, why do I
Yeah.
need to add
Oh, I'm so
anything?
glad you said that. That's a really good point. Um, yeah, I'm probably gonna meditate on that later today. Yeah, everything is already perfect. There's artwork all around you. And yeah, you're really pinpointing to a shadow aspect of mine of like this constant creation because I would say I've used art again, like you said, to kind of communicate what I wasn't feeling. And I'm communicating so much through my art. It's like, I don't know, I feel like it's more of like projecting onto the world a bit. Like I'm in a way I'm like wanting to be seen and I'm using that as my art. And I think that's fine, but I think the way that I've been doing it is like, oh my gosh, I need people to like me. So I'm gonna make
Oh,
something
for sure.
people can like me, you
Yeah, I
know?
got so much attention from making art in the
Yeah.
beginning, where it was just
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
I need to do this for attention.
Right. 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 Well,
Yeah.
that's another projector thing too. Projectors just they want to be seen. And so I think that's kind of what I'm feeling a bit is that kind of projector energy to be seen. Um, Yeah, so it's interesting that I'm doing these soul portraits now where it's like I'm not doing it for me, I'm doing it for you. Like this is for you. But I can still see how I'm like inserting my like I want to be seen too, so I'm making this beautiful thing, but yeah, I just love what you said. That's just so beautiful. When you're at your highest, you can notice that everything is already perfect. That is I love that. Thank you for
Hmm.
sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't,
I,
yeah, it seems like, am I supposed to be there all the time? That might be like my ego, Brian, trying to be like controlling or whatever, trying
yeah.
to
Hmm.
manipulate.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's like I have these moments of just, yeah, like I became Christ. Like, why
Mhm.
did I become Christ when I, like,
Yeah.
why? But then
Yeah.
it's it has to be a reason. It's like
Right.
it's coming through.
Hmm.
The why,
Yeah.
like why is it coming through kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely don't deny it. That's for sure.
yeah.
And everything in ebb and flow. And I constantly remind myself too, it's like I came here to like experience what a human being is like. Like I'm here for human experience. And the spiritual aspect I think is important, but again, it's not everything. Like I'm
Hmm.
supposed to be in that ebb and flow where I'm like
Yeah, it's like
at my
the beginning
lowest.
we were talking about the balance. It's the
Right. Right.
yeah.
Yes. Way to bring it back. Uh-huh. Yeah. All back to balance.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm sorry. I don't keep to me bringing this up, but like, I am just so upset about that guy selling your artwork. Like, I had forgotten about that. Like,
Yeah.
that is heartbreaking.
Crazy.
So crazy. So
Yeah.
crazy.
I actually pulled a knife out on him and he wanted to fight me. He's like,
Oh
"Oh, you
my-
want your paintings back? Let's fight." And I was doing jujitsu at the time, so I was like, "All right, should I break his
Okay.
arm?"
Uh-huh.
But then I had to deal with all that.
Right.
So I
Oh
just
my gosh.
stepped outside, pulled a knife out. I was like, "All right, if we're gonna fight, I might
Hmm.
just kill you because fuck
Uh-huh.
you."
Yeah. You get in between the artist and his work, there's gonna be some blood. Okay.
Yeah, that dragon's gonna come out and rip your throat out.
Right. Exactly. Oh
That's
my
bullshit.
gosh.
So then he just like backed away. I had to go get the cops. The cops went and got some paintings from the back that he didn't sell, but
Mm,
most of them were
yeah.
gone. All the good ones were gone.
I have a feeling you're gonna be reintroduced to those paintings later. They're gonna find you.
So many people have said that. I mean, I've had art stolen out of my apartment. I've had art just
Seriously. So
oh yeah.
this is a thing that's happened before.
Yeah, people just
Oh,
like my shit, take it.
oh my
And yeah,
gosh.
my friends have been like, that's gonna come back someday. I'm just like, I don't know.
I feel
Got
like it
my
will.
it's got my name on it, but I don't know where the fuck.
I have been watching these, God knows if these were true, but uh, these videos that I watch, these people will talk about their synchronicities. And some of these synchronicities, like I watched one the other day, and this guy had found this ripped dollar bill on the ground and he kept it for good luck. And then he married his wife, and his wife also kept a ripped dollar bill and her with her for good luck. And it was the same dollar bill like that they had found before they'd even met each other. So like again, we talk about miracles happening and normalizing miracles. I want that to happen for you so bad. This miracle of you finding your paintings and then finding you will happen one day.
Man. Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it.
Yeah.
It also feels like the Buddha thing where it's like, don't get attached to being this artist.
Right, right,
It's not in the
right.
cards for you. Like it's
Mm,
great for
mm,
your expression, but you're here to like raise the frequency. You're not
mm,
here to
mm.
paint
Yeah.
on the walls.
Right. That's really good to hear too and be reminded of. Hard
Yeah.
lesson, hard way to
Oh,
like teach you that lesson, but
yeah.
that's beautiful that you can connect to that.
Yeah. It
Mm,
seems like, I mean, it's already hard enough being an artist, but then to have all your art stolen and having to start over again and again,
right.
it's just like,
Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
man, maybe I should do something else besides spend all this time and money
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
this
Right.
thing
Right.
that isn't paying off at all.
Yeah. Just a redirection for you.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So are you just doing the kind of coaching and being a guide for people? Is that what you're focusing on now?
That's the focus now. Yeah. I yeah, want to get to the point where I can do that like remotely just and be able to have the freedom to go to ceremonies and travel and
Hmm.
just do that, which
Yeah.
seems like yeah, the base if I had that as a base that I could do that full time, then it'd be like the first step in the steps of many kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just up leveling. Hmm.
Yep. And if not, then I'll continue learning to be without preference, whatever.
Yeah, just being open. Whatever the universe has, you just trust whatever comes through.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful too.
So
Mm,
it's yeah, not attached to how it looks. Because I mean, if sometime it feels like that's what's gonna happen eventually.
hmm. Yeah, I feel that too. I feel like in general, that's what people are going to be noticing more of. Like, is this this non-attachment to outcome, and just kind of trusting that whatever comes into your life is meant to come there. And you can either use fear or you can use the mindset of opportunity to navigate through whatever is coming into your life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
I have been thinking of playing with the idea of starting a satsang, like a just a weekly kind of meetup.
Mm.
Just do like, I don't know, $20 a month. Because a lot of people I talk to, they're like, all right, great, I know this stuff, but then how do I keep remembering this? Because it's like you
Right.
can get the info and then forget it.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
having a space where people can come and just
Yep.
that'll just be the focus.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I
think that's
want.
really, really cool. Let me know. I would love to be a part of that. It's like I
Sure.
said earlier, it's like I have to keep reeling myself back in to remember these things.
That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So,
I'm also hearing that's like you're also doing grid work. Like the more that people are like remembering, the stronger there's this thing around the planet called a light grid, and it like
mhm.
is able to hold higher frequency energy. And that's basically what you're doing, but just through people. And so I think that's like super important.
Yeah, that feels fulfilling and what I would love to do. Like, could you wake up and do that? I'd be like, yeah, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yes, do it. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's part of the reaching out to all these people. I had a mushroom trip the other day. I was like, how am I going to spread? And it was just like the little spores coming out
Oh yeah.
with this podcast. Like, it's so crazy how you can just fractal yourself and however many people see it, it's just like just
Yep. Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like a
that's a
fire,
cool.
like a flame catching onto dry brush.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And the people who listen and watch it are exactly the people who like need to hear it too.
hmm.
And so like you can trust in that. And it's almost in that trusting that more people will be attracted to it because you're in alignment with like, well, there it is. That's what I do. I'm putting it out there. I'll let it fly, let it grow, let it
Hmm.
raise itself, basically.
Yep.
Hmm. Hmm.
I get to be the hollow bamboo. Let the message come through.
Oh, that was so good. You got so many good quotes going on. Oh my gosh. Well, this was great.
Yeah, we
I,
did another 2 hours. Shit.
wow. Yeah, that was,
Easy. Easy
I
to
feel like
knock
that was
out.
better than the first one that we did.
Sure.
I feel like we got a little bit more deeper in this one than we did the first one.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah, I just so appreciate you just creating this opportunity for people like me to share their wisdom and share their magic and just spread consciousness out freely. Yeah, it's an honor, and I'm just super grateful for you. Thank you.
Likewise. It's fun.
Mhm. Yes, yes. Mm.
Cool, man. Well, I guess we'll catch up later, but
Okay, man. Yep.
namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
See ya.
Good. See ya.